All right, I have 7 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Pinconning Area School Board meeting. If you'd please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Okay. Mike Bauer,
Present.
Jared Clement,
Present.
Chris Rabish, Paul Palmerville,
Present.
okay, Nicole Jones, Linda Anderson, present, Mark Kuchar.
Present. Thank you. First, I'd like to extend our condolences to Chris and his family. So sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Second, welcome. Second, I'd like to thank the community for its comments to the board. Obviously, it's important for us to have the information so we can kind of do your bidding. That's why we're here. So with that, are there any additions, deletions, changes to the agenda?
Yes, I'd like to add to the consent agenda a closed session for attorney-client communications.
Okay. Any other additions, deletions, or changes? Seeing none, need a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Need support? We have motion support. Any discussion on the agenda items? All right. If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Nicole, you're muted, by the way. Community comments. Anybody like to address the board regarding the items on the agenda?
Leanne, you're okay to go.
Sorry, bear with me. I do Zoom meetings and stuff, but this is different for me. Good evening. I would like to thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My concern has to do with remote learning days and possibly shutting down our elementary schools because of the rising cases in our great state of Michigan. I was proud that our school district took the initiative to allow our students to go back in person this school year, while other students refrained from doing so for their students. As our Michigan Health Department has already shut down our middle and high schools, my fear is that Pinconning Area School District is ready to shut down our elementary schools. But here we are having remote learning days twice a month. Why? It's been stated to the CDC that there shouldn't be any reason why to shut them down. I understand that the school needs to shut down if all the staff and students have been exposed to COVID, but why are we doing remote learning days if we choose for our kids to attend school? We have been dealing with this pandemic since March of this year. Last year, it was proven that Pinconning Area School District failed to provide our children with proper education during the months of March, April, and May for the grade they were in. If you don't believe that, my child still doesn't know everything he should have known in the 3rd grade, and now being in 4th grade has not been given any recap of what he should have known from the year prior, but was to jump in and now be a 4th grader. While other districts did more for the students online, we delivered packets of work that they already knew, and it didn't matter if they finished it or not. That means the district failed our children to provide the students with the knowledge, skills, and competence to be successful, which is our mission statement for Pinconning Area School District. I understand that everyone doesn't have the availability of internet, but our solution as a district is to sit in a car and do your work. How does that work with the weather becoming colder? Do we ask them to sit in the car, running and breathing in carbon monoxide? That's not a solution. The solution is to get rid of remote learning days immediately and to continue to teach our kids in person. Unless we are demanded to shut down our schools like we were at the beginning of this pandemic. If that is the case, then we better be prepared for it. Because currently on remote learning days, a couple hours isn't a day of learning. The district has had ample time to get this figured out for our students. Unfortunately, you will have the teachers that won't do their part of teaching our children all day as they would in school. And if you don't believe that, you can ask the 4th grade teacher at Linwood about Monday, November 16th, when only 7 students showed up for social studies and science. Since only 7 attended, she told them students no class would be held. I don't care if 1 student shows up. She still needs to teach that student. That is all I have for you. And I'm just thanking you for listening to my concerns, as this just does not come from me, but from the parents that our kids are attending Pinconning schools.
Thank you. Jay, who's next?
Candy, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Candy Clem. My son is Tyler Wade, and he's been in quarantine, self-quarantined 3 different times this year. I do agree that we should go virtual for a little bit and then go on and see how it turns after December 9th. Because my son has been in close contact with the students in the central school. Luckily, he has not got it, but it scares me to know that there's more cases in the school right now because he has a 2-year-old brother that's here. I do agree. We need the face-to-face teaching, but right now there's cases after cases. I just got a call Saturday or Sunday saying there was another case. I prayed to God I didn't get another call saying that my son had to be quarantined or that I got an email saying I had to keep him home again. Luckily, I didn't get that call or had an email because he just returned to school Friday. His whole class got to go back Friday. So I think we should go virtual until December 9th and then see how it goes again.
All right.
Because I'm so afraid my son's going to catch it pretty soon, or he's going to be not being able to be in school half the year. He's been out of school almost two months now for self-quarantine. And it does scare me because I have my 2-year-old son. Luckily, like I said, luckily he hasn't caught the virus or nothing. He's just been in self-quarantine right now.
Thanks, Candy.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, Lana, you can go ahead.
Hi there. Thank you for allowing me to address you guys this evening. I can feel both Leanne and Candy's pain. I do feel that in the spring, our virtual learning was not where we needed it to be. However, my son is in 5th grade over at Central, and I feel he has Mr. Bodwin, and Mr. Bodwin is doing a fantastic job making sure that he has the materials and the resources that he needs for remote. I'm going to address you from the side of, I have a student in high school as well, and we are struggling as a family. One kid's going, one kid's not. what do we do? They can't get into a routine. We don't know, bedtimes are different, who's got what, where are we going, trying to catch a bus for one kid. He's not happy because he has to go to school. If it's not safe for her, why is it safe for him? So we're struggling with that side of it as a family. And my husband and I and some other parents that we've talked to agree, if it's not safe for one group of students, how is it safe for the rest of them? And I get the younger ones need to be with their teacher. I respect that. My son is one of those students most days. But I do feel that at least his teacher is providing an adequate amount of resources and assistance. I know that man is working overtime to make sure that my son has what he needs on that remote. And I feel that my son is doing much better with it than obviously in the spring. And his anxiety for going to school and then not going to school and then back and Sissy's home, the side of that is he's doing better when he's home. I mean, it's a struggle to get him to go. It's a struggle for him because he doesn't understand that lack of consistency. And I feel like we need some consistency across the board for these families who do have kids in different schools. So that's kind of what I had to say.
All right. Thanks, Lana.
Thank you.
Anybody else, Jay?
There's one that I invited, but I haven't seen them pop on. So we'll just, if they do, we'll push them to the other comment section.
All right. Thank you much. Consent agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the consent agenda and pay bills totaling $1,119,914.79.
Support.
We have a motion to support. Any discussion on these items? Seeing none, need a roll call vote, please.
Okay, Mike Bauer,
Yes.
Nicole Jones,
Yes.
Chris Rabish,
Yes.
Paul Poundeville,
Yes.
Derek Clement,
Yes.
Linda Anderson, yes. Mark Kuchar.
Yes. Thank you. Motion passes. Communication, Mr. View.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kuchar.
We have, is Timothy Mullins is presenting?
I
Did you
just
know about it?
I did not realize that.
Mr. Mullins, could you not present your screen? Thank you. All right, Mr. View.
All right. We had our meeting tonight based on we were going to do an update on our COVID numbers and the status of our instruction. And I can tell you, since we returned, things haven't gotten much better as far as staffing, and the number of cases has gone up quite a bit. At one point in Linwood, we had over half of our staff were out in some form, either quarantined or isolation. And that we had trouble getting substitutes and had a lot of trouble getting that staffing straightened out. I know Christine can vouch for that. Central currently had just we have another positive case. We have 30%, just over 30% of the Central staff is quarantined or positive isolation, and we're having teachers that potentially are gym teachers going into regular classrooms, and it's really become an issue as far as having consistency for our students. And as being a big firm believer in face-to-face, as we were a leader in the area, I'm concerned with the numbers of disruptions that we're having. I'm not. I'm just thinking that we're having trouble for any consistency with our student-teacher interaction right now. I would like to comment. One of the reasons I think we can make things a little different than they were in the spring, as the board had some foresight. We not only have the internet hotspots at the township halls, we actually have over 200 hotspots from AT&T that we have available to distribute. We've given every student a Chromebook, and all of our teachers have been given professional development in the ability to do remote. The remote Wednesdays were designed So if we were to go remote, that they were adept at it. And I think those skills have really been firmed up in the last 6 to 8 weeks. So, as we looked at some of the data, I gave the board, we have a high number of teachers right now that are quarantined and as Mrs. Clem mentioned, students, we have over 73 students that have been quarantined at Central, and that number will definitely be rising. And just to kind of give you more update, I did talk to Mr. Strauss from the Bay County Health Department. He did provide the board an email, and I'll give you a few of those notes. Is that the growth, exponential growth in Bay County as of today, the number of confirmed cases for the county during the first 19 days of November, this was a few days ago, was 1,923. In October, those numbers were 690, and September 195. We are looking at a positivity rate that's above 18%. And he mentions that in the northern sections of the county, the virus is growing at an exponential pace that matches the urban and suburban southern portions. So he feels that it would be prudent to go remote, but has not made that demand. So as a district, we need to decide how we want to proceed. And I guess I'll let that decision, that dialogue take place now.
I guess I'll start. I know we've really struggled with this decision over the last week and a half, especially after the most recent, statements made by MDHHS. And I guess, taking into consideration all of the emails and input we've gotten from teachers and parents and even some students. But I guess coming down to it, what I looked at was, the orders were for, no more than 10 people in a household are supposed to be together. Well, actually gathering no more than 2 households together, and then no more than 10 people in a room. So my conflict was you're in a classroom, you definitely have more than 2 people from households together, and then obviously more than 10 people. So it contradicts the other order of, having, just 2 people in the household and more than 10 people. So, that was a big push for me. But then obviously as the week went on, the numbers escalated, things got more dire with, staff being quarantined and not even being able to we're stretched thin and not even being able to have staff teaching because they're all out quarantined. And while I understand, Leanne, listening to you and your struggles, and I feel for you. I feel for a lot of the parents that are struggling with this, as a lot of families are, but ultimately the safety of our staff and students is the most important. And we just have to step it up with the teachers and staff, I guess, to try and do the best they can if the kids are going to have to go virtual. But I'm in support of going virtual, at least until the end of this current order. See if things hopefully can settle down a bit.
Okay. Thank you, Nicole. Other board member thoughts?
I will say that I will support either decision. It's tough. I don't like being in this spot. The parents that I've talked to, it's been about 75-25. They like that their kids are face-to-face. They feel that they need it, especially the younger kindergarten K through 3 is the majority that I've known and reached out to. But I totally understand with our staffing issues, and we do have to keep everybody safe. That's our number one goal. So I will support either decision. It's not an easy one, and not everybody's going to be happy, but if we can all make it out together, that's the best.
Thanks, Jara.
I'm concerned about the safety of our students and staff. I think that has to be our number one priority right now. And with everybody and, kids coming in session and close contact, I can't see them being as safe as they should be.
All right. So, Mike, are you looking for a motion for the policy, or are you just looking for guidance right now?
Well, we're probably going to have a motion because we have told, there was a decision that we were going to make, moving forward to see
Right.
where we're headed. And, we could support, I know we had talked about some extended breaks. We've talked about, there could be a potential if we were to go remote until the 15th of December, that would allow us to go just past the current epidemic order. And then we would have a board meeting on the 14th and we could revisit and see how the data looks, because, our goal is to go face to face. Again, we want to make sure that it's quality instruction and not a lot of disruptions and whatnot. But that's, again, I'm looking for a direction and a return date, or we're going to hold the status quo, I guess. I think we would need a motion, Mark.
Okay.
Before we do that, Mike, when is exams for the high school scheduled?
They're in that second, I think they're the week of the 14th. Kyle, help me out.
The week of January 11th.
Yeah.
The week,
Thursday, Friday, January 14th and 15th, I believe. That
Correct.
Monday, January 11th, and we would have a board meeting. So
whatever we do, I think we need to kind of look at that to make sure these kids, if at all possible, get back to school for a few days of review before they're expected to take their exams.
Sure. I mean, if possible, I think we've always tried. I think our goal, what I've always gotten from the rest of the board, is that, we really try to keep the kids face to face as long as possible. And I right now, obviously not possible, but Mike, you were saying, so our next school board after, I don't have my calendar in front of me, after the order expires is the 14th of December.
Correct.
Okay. So I guess I'm in favor of, keeping virtual until that time when we can meet again and make another decision on where we go from there. And then hopefully we can see maybe the numbers have gone down. Hopefully if everybody's doing their part, that, we'll be good to go back face to face again. I mean, that's always our goal.
Right.
okay. Is there any other board member that would like to comment?
The one complaint I did receive multiple of is it was hard getting the phone call late at night saying, oh, you're going to be virtual this day and so forth. If there's a way we could give them more time so they can make plans, with parents working still not at home, even at home, we have a rule at work. We cannot work from home with kids here because I'm sorry, you can't get it done. There's distractions, but
The tough thing with that is that the data that comes in changes not daily, but hourly.
Hourly, I know.
I know we ended up with Mike, we closed Central on Friday, then we got more information. We closed Linwood on Saturday and then the high school, middle school on Sunday. It's because that's how the information rolled in. So I think the staff has done a tremendous job. And I want to thank the board members, for their guidance also. But my take is we do need to get some more consistency. I have heard that too. So I want to hear some other board members if they want to chime in. Otherwise, we can also accept the motion and continue discussion.
This is Mike Bauer. I'm a big advocate of the face-to-faces, everybody knows. But I do believe that right now I am in agreement to do the remote instruction, but I do think that we should consider moving our board meeting. That way it will align closer to the order that's out there from the health department. So if that order expires on the 8th, why don't we move our board meeting to the 7th and know what date is coming and be able to address it? This would allow us to get the kids back potentially for a week before they go to the Christmas break. If we keep them out right now to the 15th and make the decision on the 14th, they could come back on the 16th, but they'll only be back for right now what would be 3 scheduled days. And then they would be back remote for the week after the new year, most likely. So I think if we could move our board meeting to accommodate the expiration of the order, the current health department order, then we could have the latest information and know if they're going to be extending or not. And if they extend, then we can make the decision at that time. If they decide that it's okay to go back to school, then we could welcome everybody back and try and get them as much information as possible in that limited amount of time we have before the Christmas break.
I agree, Mike. I think that would be a good idea to move it to 7th. And usually by then, I mean, if they're going to extend the order, I would imagine they probably would do so, at that time. So we would already have that information.
Yeah, because we return on the 10th. So we should know by the 7th if we have the board meeting, but because I think.
And you can make it the 8th or 9th. I don't care. It doesn't have to be a Monday for me. I mean, whatever works to give us the most accurate information. I just think that we shouldn't work around our date. We should work to their date right now and try to make it. I mean, if they can get a whole weekend, return on the 14th and go the 14th through the 18th, I think that would be a good advantage for us.
I agree. So if the order expires on the 8th, we could read it. 8th.
The 9th is the last day. It was a Wednesday we started and it ends on a Wednesday. And I believe the 10th is the return date.
Okay. Well, I'm just thinking if we meet on the 8th and then that way it'll give the parents more time. Like I said, so we're not giving them a last minute notice again. Okay. We meet on the 10th. Guess what? Tomorrow we're going to be back face to face. That's one of the things that they said they don't want is this last minute notification. So if we can meet on the 8th, let them know so they have a few days to prepare or whatever, just more time to make arrangements. I think that would be best too.
Well, we don't have to return on the 10th just because the order expires. We can always make it the 14th on the Monday too. So I think that we just need to have the most up-to-date information. So the later we can have it, I think the more accurate of a decision we can make.
All right.
So then would that be the motion be for the elementary, since it would be they would start remote on the 25th because we'd want them to go back tomorrow. So the parents would have the students would have the ability to get their information so that they would be face to face tomorrow. And then the remote learning would begin the 25th. Is that what I'm hearing?
Sure.
The 25th is a half a day, right?
Yeah, it's remote. Actually, it's a remote day, I believe. So if we just if the 24th, if we go tomorrow, then they can get their information. But Kyle, is it a total remote day now because we switched it over?
It is a remote day. Wednesday.
Okay.
All right. So I think do we have enough discussion where we want to make a motion?
I can make one if you like.
Let's tee it up. Let's see what you get.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to adjust the early continuity of learning plan and go remote for K through 5 to the end of the current MDHHS order for the high school and go remote until no earlier than December 10th return of 2020.
Support.
All right. We have a motion and support. Any discussion or questions on that motion? Clarification, anything? Okay. If not, I'd like a roll call vote on that.
Okay. Mike Bauer,
Yes.
Nicole Jones,
Yes. Sorry, I had to turn off my mic.
Chris Rabish,
Yes.
Paul Palmaville,
Yes.
Jared Klimick,
Yes.
Linda Anderson, yes. Mark Kuchar.
Yes. And in that, we would also want to move the board meeting from the 14th to the 9th. Is that what we're looking at?
I think it was the 8th.
The 8th, Tuesday? Okay.
And we have a little more discussion as far as athletics, and I was going to have Dwayne kind of have the board get a feel for where we're at with athletics and kind of give you our plan as far as where we're going to go with that. If in fact, we're going to continue with that, or how we're going to do that.
My recommendation to Mike was, we haven't had any tryouts for boys or girls basketball. I take that back. We had a couple of practices for the girls, but my recommendation was going to be that if we return to school on the 10th, to allow our kids to practice from the 10th until we break for Christmas, and then quarantine them for the Christmas break, bring them back to practice on the 4th of January. We've got other schools in our conference who are not being allowed to practice, conduct anything athletically until after the new year. So we don't want to do too much in terms of practice and prep, with the idea of being equitable and fair across the board. Those two schools are looking at a return to competition the 3rd week in January. So my recommendation would be to allow the kids to get their teams selected in December, quarantine for the Christmas break, and then come back on the 4th of January.
And no competitions until after the new year, right?
Correct. Yes.
That was a discussion at the Jack Pine conference, and most schools are going to abide by that.
Yes.
Any comments about that?
Get some feedback for Dwayne and Mike here. Does anybody have a thought on that?
If the order extends, that the high school remain down, and that, would we also be looking at changing this? If we end up going remote further than the 10th, would you guys be looking at possibly not having practice until the new year?
Yes, that was the contingency plan that I had in my head, because you're still no worse for wear, and you're still equitable in terms of what the conference is doing.
Then I think what your proposal is reasonable.
Yep. And then we would revisit that on the 8th for that meeting. We'll have more information at that time, and we can give more guidance then.
All right, great.
You got anything else, Mike?
Nope, that'll do it. Those are the two major things. Any other administrators have anything that I need to clarify?
Can I just read the narrative for the ECOL and make sure I have it correct, please?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I have the Board of Education has recommended all schools go to remote instruction starting on Wednesday, November 25th to follow the MDDHS order with a return date no earlier than December 10th, 2020. The Board of Education will meet again on December 8th, 2020 to reconvene and review the updated MDDHS data and recommendations to determine if students will remain with 5-day-a-week remote instruction or return to face-to-face instruction.
You got all that from what I said?
She's good.
That's pretty good.
That's in a nutshell. Yeah.
Does the order, that first part said that we're following the MDHS order, but the order isn't to close K-12, right?
So we're following the guidelines that they're setting for high school, and we're implementing that for all grades.
Because we've already done it for the middle school. We got that.
Yeah, I get that.
The order doesn't specifically say, but it is permissible to follow that order. I mean, the schools have that ability to follow that. One of the things we haven't talked about too is there is some language in the new epidemic order that stresses social distancing, and we do have we do our best for social distancing, but there was an emphasis on that in the new order, and I just want to make light of that.
We'll have to take that in consideration at our next meeting or two.
Right.
We're closer at that. So I know in order to do that, we'd have to go to an A-B schedule, which that to me proposes even more of a headache for parents, especially if you have them in multiple buildings. So let's save that headache for later. but good to know. Any other administrative staff want to address the board? Okay. On consent agenda, I think we already took care of that, or do we need to do anything else on that, Mr. View?
No, I think we're good. I just want to note to John Sanford and Christine, if they could notify their parents tonight that that they will be going remote on the 25th. That way I don't have to call the whole district. It's limited to those 2 buildings. But
Okay.
no, we're good to go. The first reading, we're gonna have you didn't get to the policy yet, did you?
Well, no, that's what I'm wondering if you want to.
Yeah.
So we need the first
We
and
still
final
need to
reading.
do that. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's do that.
Are you ready? I'd
Yep.
like to make a motion to accept the first and final reading of policy 8450.05 as recommended.
Support.
We have motion support. Any discussion? Seeing none, I need a roll call vote, please.
Okay, Mike Bauer,
Yes.
Nicole Jones,
Yeah.
Chris Rabish,
Yes.
Paul Palmaville.
Yeah.
Sarah Clement,
Yes.
Linda Anderson, yes. Mark Kuchar.
Yes. Thank you. Motion passes. All right, public comments. Jay, do we have anybody lined up?
No, it doesn't look like they've joined.
All right, thank you.
Oh, Cindy raised her hand.
Yep, Candy, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to give Mr. Patrick credit for doing what he's been doing for virtual since my son's been on quarantine, because he's been doing his best, and it does seem like you guys do have it together this year since last year. We're not
Thank
just thrown into it.
Well, you know, perhaps
Teacher.
virtual days so that the students could stay in practice with that, and the teachers could continue practicing virtual learning. And in the event that we had to go to this back to full virtual, then they would still be in practice with that, and have a handle on it. So thank you for your input.
Yep, thank you.
Yep, thank you guys.
Yep. Any other comments? All right. Seeing none, do we have any discussion items?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, Mr.
I would
Palmer.
hope, Mike, I would hope the first lady spoke of a teacher that decided not to have class because there wasn't enough kids. I would hope that you're going to look into this
Mm-hmm.
because that's unacceptable.
I agree.
She is a teacher that we're paying. If there's one student, she is to be teaching them.
Exactly. Yeah. Leanne made a good point with that. I don't care if there's 1 or 2 or whole class. If there's 1 student on there, you continue teaching. You don't cancel class.
Yeah, I noted that. I will be getting with the principals to
Okay.
get to the bottom of it and just make sure, there's always 2 sides to a story, and we'll get to it, and definitely something we'll look into.
Okay.
Thanks, Paul.
Well, I feel for the parent because I know like college does that all the time, and it really irritates me to know that I'm helping pay for college and the professor decides not to have a class because they just didn't feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep, I agree.
Other discussion items? All right, if not, we need a motion. We have a closed session.
I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session for attorney-client for discussion.
Support.
Okay, motion and support. Any discussion? Not, I need a roll call vote, please.
Okay, Mike Bauer,
Yes.
Nicole Jones,
Yes.
Chris Rabish,
Yes.
Paul Palmaville,
yes.
Sarah Clement,
Yes.
Linda Anderson, yes. Mark Kuchar.
Yes. All right, so this will conclude our meeting. We'll do the opening meeting for attorney-client privilege. And when we come back into open session, it'll just be to adjourn. There won't be any business done. So I'd like to thank everybody who's watching and attended. And thanks for your comments too. So Jay, you gonna stop the YouTube?
No, I can't. but
Okay.
you got to give me a second to get things
Yep.
set.
No problem. Just let me know when you're ready.
So who stays and who goes? Because
Should just be the board members and Mr. View, I believe.
Chris,
the lawyer,
Chris and Mullen.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Carla, Chris streaming. That's power. All right. So the other issue is the slideshow that I'm going to put up that I created ahead of time and I can't change now says that the next school board meeting is December 14th. So you kind of you screwed me on that. But we'll just, there may be some confusion. We'll have to figure it out. So
No
give
problem.
me a second. I'm going to switch over to that.
Compared to everything else we've been doing.
And I'm gonna cut the sound so to make sure that it's off, and then I'll let you guys know if you're good to go. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mullins, looks like there's a poltergeist flashing at you.
No, like yeah.
That flashing was really driving me crazy.
Oh yeah.
Screen.
I know. I was scared that I was going to have a seizure.
I tried to change that.
Maybe we should worry about that set seg. They may want to pay him a little bit better, give him a better computer.
Okay, you're good to go.
All right, so we're back into open session from the closed session attorney-client privilege meeting. Seeing no more business, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Motion, support, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Relax for a bit.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye, you too.
You too.